chiropractors, such as doctors, anything that had to do with public health and dealing with folks. And they all, from what we could tell, and our experience reaching out to other cities that have similar ordinances, their experience with the flip side of that, with the locked doors, is that a lot of times those acts that we're trying to combat, they do it behind locked doors for a reason. And so it defeats law enforcement's abilities to detect what they're doing, and that's a problem for us. So we're trying to balance this with the needs of the police department, with the needs of the community. We're not trying to be overly burdensome, but at the same time, we're trying to address something that we feel is important to help us combat what we're talking about, which is prostitution. So that's point number one. So I thought that I would bring that up and open it up for discussion and see, get to the varying viewpoints and see where we are relative to the locked door situation. Anybody like to sort of start off?
My name's Mary, and I'm certified with CNATC. I work in a retail shop and work in the back section of the retail shop. And while I put a sign up, massages in process, the 2-year-olds don't read, and they crawl up those stairs, and my husband hopefully is making sales in the front and pushes the doors open. And while there's screen protecting the client, we do feel uncomfortable, and we need some semblance of a locked door in order to present us during the working hours. Certainly we're not trying to prevent access, but how would you recommend that we can move forward with that without that problem? Because anybody can do it. They see these pretty doors. They don't read because they're in a calm environment already, buying products and going forward. And I think you have some that you mentioned as well.
Mm-hmm.
Sure, go ahead.
Helene Breast, I work at Sonoma Kennedy Club here in Paso. And I have, a lock on my door, which I do use inside because we have clients coming and going to the club to do Pilates, the retail part of the store. We have had people walk right in. So often I do lock that door.
Okay.
And that, my clients feel much more comfortable. And I do want to add that I'm more than happy to have you come, or whoever we send, and take a look at, what the situation is and see if there's any option there.
Okay.
Yeah, I would just agree with that. You have to be able to lock the door to protect the modesty of your guest. And while I realize your concerns are valid, we don't want to expose legitimate business clientele to improper exposure to people. If we're working on a leg or arm, they can't have somebody walking in on them.
Okay.
It needs to be a safe environment, and because there are situations where people will just wander up and who shouldn't be, but they either don't know or just are curious, and it's unacceptable to not be able to protect the client from that kind of exposure.
Okay. I'm sorry, go ahead.
A couple examples. My name's Alana Reynolds, and I am a Reiki master, and I live in a Tascadero property up here. At Kennedy Club, for example, if you're at one end and you're in the chiropractor's office and you ask where the bathroom is, he's going to say, go to the end of the hallway, last door on the left, which is her massage room. If they go to the far end and then turn left, there's the bathroom. They won't have seen it. Okay. If you're at Vessels, getting a pedicure in the front, and they say, go through a couple doors, it's on your left. Same thing, you could walk right in to the massage room rather than the bathroom by accident. Okay. There's multiple places I've been receiving massages in Paso that, again, anybody, if it was late hours, it could be a janitor, or just somebody simply going in to thinking that where they usually go is the first door on the left, and instead they move to the second door, they walk in on something. Completely inappropriate. If you guys are going for a cause that you have reason to suspect, you can kick down the door. It's not going to do that. I mean, any of us could kick down a door if somebody, especially an inside door, if somebody was in need, they were yelling, help, stop, don't. And if you guys had a reasonable cause, you'd have no problem doing it. It breaks the door jamb, breaks the lock. So if there was a need for it and you guys were in suspicion, I think it'd be worth the damage done there than the damage done to clients over and over again being walked in on.
Okay.
My concern with the locked door, and I'm Kim Manley, and I have a studio right here on 12th, is that that I shared that building with several attorneys and estheticians and other massage therapists, rental agency. I can't lock the main door, so I have to lock my interior.
It's all one room?
It's all one room.
Okay.
So that's where my concern is on the locked door.
Okay.
I totally understand where you're coming from, and if everything was in a perfect world, that definitely would work. But,
Sure.
I'm in a similar situation as she is. My name is John Young, and I rent office space from Nicholas Chiropractic.
Okay.
Even though we're two different office suites, we share a common waiting area. He's on a lower level, I'm on an upper level. When I'm in a session, I actually don't lock my door. I just rent one room. But when I do go for lunch, or I leave the office and I'm doing out-of-office chair massage work at businesses, I lock the door because I have a computer in there. I've got a credit card machine. There's sensitive files that I have on clients, and I have to be able to secure those in some way. So my concern would be if I have to leave that unlocked, there's no way for me to secure any of that information unless he were to be gone and to lock his business because he's done for the night.
Okay. Okay.
So I need a way to secure everything that way.
No problem. Cody, you have
Yes. I have one question overall, and then this is all interesting to hear the individual circumstances for people. How do you know that there are violations occurring in any massage therapy business in this town? How do you know that? You've cited two things in your 25-page report. Prostitution, of course you go over health, welfare, and safety, I understand that. Prostitution and drug trafficking. How do you know that? This is a police department report, so I suspect you know that that's happening. This would normally be done by business license people, but you're doing it instead.
No, absolutely. So how do we know that? This process for me, and I'm going to come back to your door thing.
I'm going to continue on into the door.
Okay.
I'm not done with the door.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. I didn't want to cut you off.
No, but I want to
I thought you were giving me a chance to talk.
Right
Go ahead.
right off the top, I have to ask you and the city, how do you know that there are violations of prostitution and drug trafficking occurring in some massage therapy business, most of whom are legitimate in this city?
Sure.
I mean, you have several day spas here that advertise either in print or on the radio all the time that offer massage services.
Yes.
So they're subjected to the same law that you're creating for a few that you suspect. I want to know how you know enough information in order for you to produce a 25-page document and a subsequent 11-page ordinance with a you've now say been adjusted to an onerous $350 fee that was before, in addition to a $50 fee for a business license. In other words, $400 to be involved in what now costs you $50 in this city. How do you know that these violations are occurring?
Ready?
I'm ready.
All right. We've had complaints. I can think of two right off the top of my head where a young athlete came to the police department and said I was getting a massage at a local place, and the lady started rubbing my genitals and asked for money in return to finish the job. I had another complaint of similar nature, and these are just two that I researched recently. Another guy came in and said he was propositioned, again, for money.
Are these written complaints?
Yes, they are.
Okay.
They are written complaints. And going back about 4 years, and this is sort of the genesis to this, and this place is now since closed, it's reopened under new services. We had a plumber come to us and said, I just want you to know that I just cleared the drains at one of your local massage parlors, and what the drains were clogged with was hundreds of condoms. Hundreds of condoms we pulled out of the drains to go there. And we subsequently started trying to do some undercover work there to reveal that, and it was ineffective for us. But our pressure on the place eventually caused them to close. They reopened under a new ownership, similar ownership, and the problem persists from what we understand. I had two gentlemen come into my office, and one of them, it was sort of an interesting scenario. He came to me and was honest, and he said, I work with a gentleman who told me that you can go to this particular massage place in town, and there's this particular masseuse who he provided me a business card with a name on the back and a phone number, and said that if you reference me, she will perform services. He walked in after making an appointment, walked in to get the massage, and she was completely naked waiting in the room for him. At that point, his conscience kicked in because this guy is married and has a family, and he took pause and thought, this isn't the direction I want to go. He left. He said, no, thank you, I've changed my mind. Came right down to the police department and told us about it. So we've had numerous complaints in that type of fashion. We went out to do a compliance check on some of the businesses that have been advertising on places, and this is no secret, Backpage.com, Redbook.com, which are known as advertisements for prostitution, and even on Craigslist. You can go to Craigslist and look under the adult advertising, and you can see where they're advertising for erotic massage. One place in town on their webpage, the first place, one of the things of services they offer is erotic massage. So those are short versions,
Okay.
for you.
And I believe every one of those versions, which identifies a law enforcement problem, not a business license problem.
Absolutely.
And it should be addressed as such. If you don't have the manpower to address it, you can call in manpower to do so. There are state laws on the books against prostitution. If it's occurring, and it's being advertised, and it's occurring, there are methods by which you can undertake as a police officer to address that. Now, so it's not a business license problem, and having a business license doesn't give you any more license to put yourself in between a prostitute and her clients or the business itself. So that's a law enforcement problem, not a business license problem, and not one that should cost an additional $350. Second, you've mentioned drug trafficking. I'd like to know about that.
Okay, so I'll address drug trafficking second. I'm going to go back to your point relative to the business licensing aspect. Once we, as law enforcement investigators, started looking into the illicit businesses that opened up, and we were confident that prostitution and those types of acts occurred, an interesting phenomenon started happening as more places opened up. We started seeing that these illicit businesses were rotating their girls through. We started making the businesses, we started clamping down on the laws, so to speak, that we have on the books that require everybody in the city of Paso Robles, if you're doing anything for trade, for money, or whatever, you have to have a business license.
Correct.
So we started saying, look, we went in and started doing compliance checks. We had a particular operation we walked into and said, ma'am, we understand you're offering massage services here. Can you show me your business license? Oh, I didn't know I needed a business license to do that. Well, you do. Okay. So they caught on. These businesses caught on and started complying. They would come in and pay their $50. And what we started seeing was some trends. We would see that all the business owners in town that were for these massage, they didn't live here. They lived in LA, they lived in the Valley. None of the owners of the businesses lived here in Paso Robles. And the majority of the masseuses, they would provide a local address where 5, 6, or 7 of them were living in one room at a local apartment complex. And so as part of these business inspections also, we also started seeing some unsanitary conditions. We would walk in and we would see dirty sheets. We would see spoiled food. We would see unlabeled product that was there that we had no idea what they were using or how they were using it for. We started seeing clothing that was dirty and soiled. All these unhealthy unsanitary conditions were direct, and that's when we talk about public health. We're not just talking about the act of sex or whatever it means. We're talking about the actual business conditions that any legitimate person inside this room would be appalled at. And so what we decided at that point is, how do we fix this? They've got a business license. We cannot control, even beyond just the prostitution, how they're handling their business. And so that's where phase 2 of the ordinance comes in, is being able to regulate the kind of sanitary conditions that is all second nature to everybody in here, and that the police department isn't going to go and you folks are not the people that we're concerned with. But we have to have a method, and we have to have a tool that is going to, this isn't a business proposition for the police department. We're not going to see any profit out of charging any type of fee for going in and doing an inspection. The fees that we were trying to charge, when you reference a $300 or $400, which is high, it's not what it was. I think that there was a misunderstanding, and that's the reason we changed it.
It's right here in your report. I can add $350 plus a $50 business license, plus $47 every time you inspect the place.
No, that is not correct. You misread it. You did. The $47 is annually, and it covers 2 inspections. So there's an annual, the way it was proposed, a one-time 47 fee every year. There was.
And how is that number derived? Is there an Nexus study that shows that?
It was actually in there, yes. There was a study that was, what we took is our code enforcement officer, who in his hourly wage, and we said, how long is it going to take him to do an inspection? We expect 30 to 45 minutes per place. And we went through, because we can only charge what our actual costs are. So we said 2 inspections, 30 to 45 minutes, it's going to cost X. We want to be able to cover our costs, and that was the reason for that fee, $47.
That being said, I think that's a point of contention with us, just to piggyback on that, that it is it mandatory that it would be 2 years, and why not when it's just flagged, or if there's a complaint against the person? I think there's a great concern from those of us who really don't have those problems, that would be required. Obviously, we're open books, we don't mind, we carry those health and safety standards. If we're certified, and that covers us through the state, why would that be necessary unless there is a complaint? And after initial inspection, could that not be removed from your code?
Great question. Follow-up to everything we were just talking about, going out, and I agree with you, Cody. This is a law enforcement issue. We have laws on the books. Penal code makes it a misdemeanor to commit prostitution. We go in and we try and work those angles. It's not working for us.
And very circumstances for this kind of occupation is a health department issue.
Right.
It truly is.
That's part of it. That's part of it.
And
Let me go back.
That shouldn't occur, by the way.
Let me go back. So we go back and we start inspecting these places. Who do you think the first phone call I got was from after these inspections?
The owner?
Nope, wasn't the owner. It was an attorney. I get a phone call from a local attorney saying, are you targeting my businesses because of their race? Are you targeting my businesses because of their function? You know, they're a legitimate business. What proof do you have that these things are going on? My second phone call is from a person that owns the building that says, hey, this person pays their rent every month on time, leave them alone. So now, after we consult with an attorney, what do you think the attorney tells us that we have to do? We have to apply blinders across the board to everybody. So if I inspect your place, the first thing you're going to say is, why didn't you inspect Mary's place? Why are you targeting me? It's because I'm a woman, and it's because of my race.
But you are targeting specifically massage practitioners, not craniosacral therapists or other people who are not codified under this, so it is a target on us. And I do think that you making it established with a flagged or concern might be a way around this.
And that certainly is an aspect of it. But what I'm trying to tell you is that while things may appear very minimalist and boil down to a certain point for you, that we have to be able to have the tools. I know that there's a natural distrust of the police department in a lot of communities, that you're wondering what the motivations are, how we're going to apply these laws, are we going to nitpick them? And I can promise you this, as a police department, our goal is to see your businesses thrive. And I'm quite confident that by shutting down these other businesses, that it's going to improve your reputations within the community, because these other people are trying to lump themselves in with you, not the other way around. We're not trying to do that. We're not trying to say you're lumped in with the prostitutes. The prostitutes are trying to use a covert operation to legitimize their business practices. And that is what's going on. We respect what you do in the community. We realize that this is wine country. A lot of tourists come here, and we want this to be the best city offering the best services. and we want to see you thrive in a down economy.
I need to correct something. I don't think anybody mistrusts the city council, the city manager, or the police department at all. We see you as partners for that. So please accept that. Is there anybody who mistrusts the police department fully?
No.
Largely. So that's not there, number one. Number
Not
two,
that.
I'm a practitioner and registered licensed therapist of 2 different states who have had, one of which had this massage ordinance under massage codes. It doesn't change. For 20 years, I've had to battle my reputation as a massage therapist. And what you're doing, thank you very much, will not necessarily disassociate massage and massage therapy from prostitution. I apologize to the world for that, but there's nothing that you're going to do. What I'm seeing is an increased aggravation of that perception. And if I'm a client coming in and I see that, I'm going to wonder, I'm just not going to do massage. I'm going to go to my doctor, or I'm going to do something else. I'll go buy something over at Bed Bath & Beyond that will do self-massage. It does impact us. It hasn't
Already
improved.
has.
And I feel that we need to work a lot closer together to try to do that. Work with the uplifting of this. The city manager said he didn't want to do, point blank, we're not trying to ruin your reputation. But if you could see it from this point of view, it is challenging us. And minimalist or not, we need to look at any language that does challenge us.
I understand.
And inspections, unannounced, whatever, does challenge the security of our client's perception and our ability to be credible people.
I'm sorry, I'll come back. Go ahead.
I'd like to add on to that in that you are requiring all of the legitimate massage therapists, of which I understand there are at least plus or minus 100 of them within the city limits, to pay for the people who are acting illegally. That's not fair. You're collecting, I know you've adjusted these fees, but I'm going to use the $350 figure because I've added it up. You're asking them to pay $350 to help you enforce the law against a very few. That's not fair.
We're not going to do that. We're going to charge them exactly what every other business is paying. We're not going to do
In
that.
other words, this whole fee schedule is going to go away. That says everything. So it'll be a $50 fee from now on.
No, they're going to be charged what other professionals are charged, $80.
$80.
$80.
Okay, I'm fine with that raise.
$80.
On the targeting of masseuses, do I understand that if somebody is a masseuse in conjunction with a doctor's office or chiropractor, that this does not pertain to them?
That is correct. If you are a direct employee of a doctor, California law prohibits us from regulating that because that goes under the medical board. If you're a subcontractor, that's a different story. If you're a subcontractor, you have to comply with the ordinance. If you're an employee of a chiropractor or a doctor, you're exempt from the ordinance. Okay?
In the long run, we're hoping that a positive example from Paso Robles might help the State Board of Certification move to a more medical practice. And so if we can keep this dialogue going, I'm sorry to jump ahead 3 years, but when the CMATC goes away and we are moved to a medical board, hopefully we'll have some working models that can contribute.
Right. And then again, going back, and that's the other point that I really want to emphasize with this whole ordinance is you have to look at it in 2 ways. There's those of you that are certified, $80 a year for your business license, and we require you to be CAMTC certified. It's a 2-part thing. You have to be certified, and you have to pay your $80. You can have your business, and you can do it. Okay? The only thing that we're going to do aside from that is if you have a physical location, say you're a sole proprietor or some sort of proprietor of a business, is that now you have to understand that there are certain codes that are not unlike any other business out there. We just put them in the ordinance, whether it's lighting codes, which was my second point. We're going to amend the lighting code. We understand that, all we're going to say is that you have to have a light in the room. If you want to have the light off, have the light off. We're not trying to, we understand that sex can happen in the dark or in the light. It's not going to change that. However, from a safety standpoint, there should be a light in the room so nobody gets hurt. Okay, so that's the second point. But all the other codes, you're having to comply with them anyways. But the problem is, there is no state certified agency that goes out, like the medical board, that goes out and has inspectors that go out to your businesses. They're leaving that to the local agencies to do that. So it falls to us to do it, and we have to have some sort of rules that are fair and applicable to everybody across the board without, if somebody purports himself to be a masseuse, and they're or a massage therapist or a practitioner, there has to be a set of rules across the board that apply irrespective. And we're trying to figure out what the best, the most fair way to do that. And we're working with the state, we're working with other cities that have gone through the growing pains that we have, and we're trying to learn from their examples. We know that this ordinance, just because we have something on the books, is not going to eradicate prostitution from our community. We know that it's not going to eradicate human trafficking. We know that it's not going to reduce the incidence of drug abuse or alcohol abuse. However, as a law enforcement agency, we have to have various tools to be able to do that. As a business is black, that now we have an array of tools as opposed to one or two laws that are on the books relative to prostitution. We've learned from experience, and it's called community-oriented policing, that the more people that we bring to bear, if it's the health department that says, hey, we have these books, these laws on the books that direct this, we need your help to come in. We also have the code enforcement angle to do it. We also have the state that says that this person has to be CAMTC certified. Now we're attacking it on all these different fronts, and in addition, we can send our undercover folks in and hopefully get them for prostitution. In the end, it's all a misdemeanor. There's nobody that's going to go to state prison. But we have to have the tools. We're charged with it as the police department to look at public safety, to look at public health, and to do everything that we can to choke those people out and get them out of our community. Let them go somewhere else. Don't let it be easy to do business if you're in that line of work. Here in Paso Robles, we're not going to do it. We are not going to do it, and we're working hard to represent your interests.
I understand your dilemma, but I'd like to get back to the locked door.
Absolutely.
What ordinance are you using that says that you can't have a locked door inside of a business?
I'm sorry, I don't
A
understand.
locked door. You're saying you can't lock the doors inside of a business. I know the ordinance that you must have the front door and the back door. There has to be emergency access.
Yes, correct.
From the inside out.
Correct.
But I'm not aware of any ordinance that says that somebody who owns the business, leases the building, regardless of where it is,
For instance,
to be able to lock themselves into an office or a room inside the business. And if that's only for massage therapy, that's discrimination, as you know.
It's an existing code for counselors and lawyers and other things where privacy might be of the utmost importance.
And there again, your point is well taken. We're going back to the drawing boards with the city attorneys on that point. You got to understand, my heels are not dug in on very many points on this thing. If it's going to make it easier for you to do business, and this kind of dialogue brings back that we can modify or amend it to make business easier and safer for you, I'm all for it. But at the same time, I'm balancing it with the needs of the other. And so to answer your question, the massage ordinance is written that while massage therapy is in process, you can't lock the door. If there's no massage therapy in process, you're leaving your business, you want to lock the door because you have sensitive, you can lock the door.
And is that only for massage therapy, or does that cover lawyers and doctors and chiropractors and anyone else that's in business that wants to have a confidential conversation and doesn't want to be interrupted during that line of work? Real estate agents, does that cover all those people as well, or is this strictly for massage therapists?
Right now, I am writing an ordinance that has to do with massage therapy. I have not examined all the other codes that are relative to that. I can tell you, unlike massage therapy, all those other professions that you noted have several laws, extensive codes in our government code relative to businesses and profession codes that deal with all of that have more regulations. They have thousands of pages regulating them as opposed to 15 pages. I can tell you that. So to answer your question directly,
Locked door is the issue.
I understand that. Locked door, and I don't know, is what I'm telling you.
Okay.
What I'm telling you is I have not dug my heels in on this, and I'm willing to revisit
I
it.
have an observation as these people who are committed to this industry have noted. police officer barging in on my massage. And if that takes a locked door to handle that, so be it. I'm not interested in having someone inspect my massage. I'm not into happy endings, and so, but it's a very intimate, very private circumstance, as anyone in this room who practices it can tell you, and it's not one that you want interrupted by somebody walking in and rattling the door for a periodic inspection, or because they think something might be occurring in there. These people in this industry should have the ability to lock the door if they deem fit. And the patient,
So let's do it.
or the client, should have the ability to have the door locked. If
So
they're
let's do
not
it. We're beating a dead horse. Let's do it.
Okay, done.
Did I understand you to say that over the last 4 years, you've had like a maximum of 3 to 4 complaints regarding this?
No, you did not understand me correctly.
And I guess we can get that through public records, you have a...
No.
No?
We don't, every time someone walks into the door to complain to me, I don't put paper to pen and write a report to say that this person walked in on this day to complain to me. We do have documented incidents where someone's picked up the phone, called our dispatch center, our dispatcher has put that information in and sent a police officer out. I've had numerous incidents where people have come into me and talked to me, and I've done that. Not everything do I put pen to paper and create or generate a record that you're going to be able to
Just one more
retrieve.
question, is it correct that they're going to have an inspection twice a year for $47, and that's mandatory every year forever?
That is not correct. I just stated that we have eliminated that fee structure.
Oh, I have a fee, but the mandatory inspection.
The mandatory inspection is not part of the ordinance. There's nothing in there that says we're going to go out there and do that. There's nothing in there.
If anything, for the people that were really concerned about the locks, as far as the importance of the police saying we shouldn't have, I can understand deadbolts not being used during a massage, because if you guys did need in and someone was saying help, stop it type of thing, it's harder to kick down the door with that,
Right.
but other than that.
To me, it's not going to make a difference at this point if it's going to be this. Like I said, I've told everybody, I don't want to throw the baby out with the bathwater with this ordinance. If I can make a few adjustments that are going to please the business community and help you do your job and feel safe and secure in it, that's fine. There are a lot of other health and safety aspects to this ordinance that I want to see enacted because I think they're going to be great tools for us. And so that's the bottom line with me. I'm totally flexible with some of these. Some of them I might not be able to. I'll go to the next point that was brought up to me, if that's okay. Are we okay moving forward? Name tags. A lot of people were very upset that they would have to wear something that says that their name is there. Okay, so what we decided to do, I talked to the California Massage Therapy in 2013. The state is enacting a requirement that says that you have to have your CAMTC certificate posted on the wall inside your business. And you have to have, they issue you an ID card, you have to have that available. So if we come in to do an inspection, that's part of the ordinance. We're going to look for your certificate on the wall. We're going to ask you for your CAMTC card. If that's there, the rules have been met. We're not going to require you to wear name tags. It's there again. It's an easy fix. I'm going to go to her. She's been quiet.
Don't be quiet.
So even when this does go into effect, I've done a little research as far as figuring out, since I'm not a part of that, and there's only I think 10 people that are a part of the CAMTC, it's like 6 to 8 week waiting period for all of that to go through. So as a current business license holder, if and when this goes into effect, what's the parameter for us to still stay in business, even though we don't have that, we're still waiting for the process of that?
Great question. So if it's not going to happen, but if the ordinance were enacted tomorrow, you would have all the way up until July when the new business licenses are issued to come into compliance. There is a lag time in CAMTC, but what I understand that they're doing is they're providing provisional documentation that says that you can do this, that your application is pending. On the surface, it seems that you meet all the requirements, so we're issuing you a provisional certification, and while they review your packet and go through everything, which is subject to revocation if for some reason they find out that you don't need it. So I know the state is working on their end, knowing that cities like us are enacting these types of ordinances, and so they're trying to work with us, work with you to make sure that you are able to do that. But from the time that that's the reason why, going back, 4, 5, 6 months, whenever we started this process, we're trying to tell everybody now, plan it. Get your certification, please, because it's coming. In one way or another, you know, it's coming. And so we've really been trying to encourage people to do that. Great question. Thank you. Mary, did you have a question?
Yeah, I did. That being aside, the city of Tuscarora gives 6 months to operate under a provisional, and they go back after 6 months. You might look at that to have a file where you have to go back and do that under the provisional to validate that it has been done, because anybody can say it's provisional and then not follow through or be cited, or, you know, I'm sure that they do have to have the live scan at that point to validate that that's done. My other question is not because it's a voluntary program and because there's already a national standard in place, can you work with the national certification for therapy and massage therapy and body work as another certification to make this as a national licensure and certification that is currently in force and respected nationally, not just the CMATC until it's required?
Sure. The reason, and that goes back to the point, why are we using the CAMTC? The legislatures and the bodies throughout California have said this is the organization we're creating, what we're looking to. For us, I'm not opposed to what you're saying. However, at this time, we need to get us some tools in place. The ordinance can be amended at any time. So if you want to impose stricter regulations on yourself relative to certification, I don't have a problem with that.
That broadens it, actually.
Or broadens it. I don't want to say restricted because I don't know anything about the national. I know a little bit just that they exist and that they have similar crossovers.
People have invested in
and
it.
more expansive. I'm not opposed to that, but at this point, it's not on the immediate front burner to add that. We're trying to get what we have enacted, and then if we come forward and people say, hey, we need to add this, we need to remove this, our experience tells us things are being ineffective, or we need to, or for you, things are being ineffective, come to us. We'll talk about it, and we'll try and get it worked out, much like we're doing right now.
I have an observation on that in that regard right now. You have a number of people we've already decided plus or minus 100 at least inside the city limits doing business as legitimate massage therapists. Now, this program is embryonic by program standards. It's about 2 years old, if I remember correctly, when something was going to be done and the massage people decided to police themselves, in essence.
Yes.
So, between now and next July, is that what I understood you to say? They have to be CAMTC certified? Is that when it's in effect? Because that's totally unreasonable if that's the case.
Is it?
I don't know, I'm asking you.
No, I'm asking, is it totally unreasonable?
Yes.
I don't think it is.
Yes, it is. It's expensive.
It is not. I can tell you, you're making broad statements, Cody. Hold on, let me talk.
How does it
You're making sweeping statements about something that you don't have all the facts on. The facts are that for this young lady here, that may have been doing it for however amount of years, if she's had the training, she can submit a packet to CAMTC, they'll review it and say, okay, you're good to go. For someone walking in the door today, unlike a lot of the people that are here that have been doing this for years, they're going to have to go to a school that is certified if they have zero experience, and it will be expensive for them than to be CAMTC certified. It will be. And but unlike any other trade or profession, if you go to school and you get certified, it's expensive. I'm going to become a police officer. When I've done that, I invested a lot in my career. And paying for a business license, paying for state certified training is a small investment in a career over the length of it. Yeah, there may be some upfront costs.
As long as they have time to do it, I don't disagree with you at all. In fact, using CAMTC certification is an excellent way to police this problem that you have. I agree with that. But to make it between 6 months, basically, because you've got the holiday season here in between, 6 months or 8 months to go out and get all this done is not a reasonable timeline. I think you should consider that in drafting your ordinance.
She disagrees with you.
Oh, that's fine.
Hi.
My name is Janet. I'm a petition.
Okay.
And I'm governed under the state of California to the barbers and cosmetologists.
Correct.
Okay. So my facials consist of massaging of the neck and the shoulders and the arms and hands and sometimes the feet, sometimes the back, depending on what they want done. As far as body wraps or the facial and where they want it. My question is, I don't get into muscle tissue, and so that is the medical field. nervous system. But I'm not a CMAT
Certified.
certified.
Okay.
So, with what I do as an esthetician under the license of the state of California for barber and cosmetology, I'm going to have to get CMATC certified.
No, my understanding is you do not. You're certified under a different state licensing. Now, I will there's a caveat to all that said. I am not familiar enough with your profession and the requirements of your license to say that whether you're overstepping your bounds with doing back massages and foot massages as it relates to being an esthetician. So if you were to go beyond the scope of what your licensing is by including those, you could fall under it. I don't have enough information to make that determination. My gut, based upon my research right now, tells me that you're fine. But you would probably do well to look into those aspects of your licensing, and if there's overlap, I don't know. We can talk and look into it further. My gut says you're okay. Okay. More questions?
Well, since you brought the scope of practice in, I think another concern was brought up about the areas. I've researched at least 7 other cities who have adopted codes, and it's been really pointed out that there's a draping possibility we might look at to allow us to massage the breast, which is a really important part. It is within the scope of our practice. It is legal. It is critical. I personally work on breast cancer victims and survivors, and as the head of the Paso Robles Relay for Life, I would like to definitely advocate that with the increased potential of massage being an implied practice, an accepted practice, can you, it's so viable, we're going to be, increasing the number of incidences of cancer.
Yep. Okay.
Overall, there's better language out there, and can we use the draping language above, a certain point, and for eroticism, and obviously if our intention is
Yes.
to, you've looked at that language, the intention is to create arousal, then that can be suspect.
Absolutely. If you have language that would better clear that up, I'm all for it.
Okay.
Because obviously the intent is not to remove a therapeutic use. I will say that the whole caveat with the rubbing of the breasts is I've yet to have one person call me and say, somebody did. If it's very therapeutic use, there's probably never going to be a complaint. But very much like the gentleman that called up and complained about the masseuse touching and rubbing his genitals to try and arouse him, if we ever got a complaint from a woman that called up and said, this person touched me inappropriately on my breasts, there again we have a tool. So if we can clean up the language that will address what we're trying to do, which is the illegal touching of a person, unwanted touching of a person. Well, I shouldn't even say unwanted, because a lot of this touching we're talking about is very much wanted. But
we all need to be needed.
We all need to be needed. There you go. So I have no problem. We're revamping some of this. If you have some language that will clear that up, I'm all for it.
No massage therapy shall be provided to a patron that results in the intentional contact or occasional repetitive contact with genitals, anus, areola, and the patron with intention for arousal.
There you go.
And what about the P word? She's comfortable saying it, but
Penis.
All right. It's the.
We use genitals. Genitals it covers vagina. It covers penis. Personally, I think it's adequate. I don't know.
There are types of massage therapy that work within the pelvic floor and work.
That's not the penis. That's not the genitals.
No.
Pelvic isn't.
Pelvic floor muscles are through the vagina. So there is something. So can we? You're willing to clean that up if I get you some better.
I would have to look at what it
Sure.
says and go from there. Like I said, this is I have to say that the other day when someone said that rubbing the anus was a legitimate massage practice, not to get into anatomy, but the buttocks is definitely different than the anus.
Yes,
And I just want to make
exactly.
that clear. Okay?
And that was the part that wasn't clear of exactly, what.
We use the word anus in there.
Yeah.
We do.
Right there.
It says it right there. It doesn't say anything. If you get to that region, there's a problem.
Unless you're
That's all I'm going to say. That's all I'm going to say.
Some people wax
So
it.
the glutes are fine.
True.
Yeah, some people
The
like
buns are fine.
Did you hear that?
Wax away.
For
other questions?
Yeah, we do have.
Keep going, fire.
Okay, I do have, and I don't want to put my other colleagues who do other holistic practices such as acupressure, Alexander technique. That's A's on to C's, on to D's, E's, Feldenkrais, Reiki, etc. On to Rosen methods, sports therapy, Thai bodywork, Traeger. There are a number of practices that are not covered under massage therapy, and I'm finding an inconsistency with the name massage therapy being singled out, and yet there are no regulations for Reiki, and you said that you had that question come up during the other
I brought
training.
that question up.
Yeah.
And so I wondered what you can do to harmonize this, because I do feel that, I have Reiki circles in my center. Now, what are the requirements? How can I validate the fact that I have to have my certificate out and they don't? Do they? How does this apply with the other bodyworks?
Well, the question.
It's huge.
No, and I'm not going to get in there because you can go into so many different aspects of so many different things. If you're touching and rubbing another person's body for compensation for therapeutic use, you are going to need the certification.
Okay.
And that was the bottom line. The question was that she had asked at the last meeting is, if I'm doing it, if you're doing it for compensation, that's the key. If you're practicing, if I want to get a massage, from someone that they're not charging me, this doesn't regulate that. It's not intended to. It's those people that are looking for some sort of compensation. That's what we're regulating. That's all we can regulate. Otherwise, boy, talk about overstepping our bounds. If we get into people's private lives and when they can and can't touch, now we have a problem, right?
Okay.
This is for business purposes.
So Reiki is for business purposes.
Then if you're touching and you're
But
rubbing,
they can't get California certified.
Touching and rubbing are different. Touching and rubbing are different. Reiki touches, it's not rubbing.
if you're not rubbing and massaging, then you can touch somebody.
For compensation?
Ty, you told me to go to CAFTC and ask for an exemption letter. I do Reiki only because I'm not CAFT certified.
Right.
And I intend to get 250 hours of massage
Right.
credits
Right.
in order to do just Reiki.
Right.
There is no such thing.
Okay, I didn't know.
Yes, I've been communicating with Beverly May, who's the Director of Governmental Affairs.
I know Beverly.
Yes. She said there's no such thing.
Okay.
And if you're CAFT certified, you can massage somebody's genitals naked, and that's okay.
Not here.
Yeah, but that's not included with CAFT certified, but there is nothing for Reiki.
Yeah.
I think we have to continue to look at this honestly, because there is compensation for many of these other structural things. They're not covered under this. And maybe you look at a healing arts practice and license. That gives you one tool. The fact of the matter is, suppose you're a violator and a code and you get a Reiki certificate, which honestly doesn't take a whole lot, and you go in and you lay hands on, you could have a sex offender who's, doing that. You could have all kinds of things. So I do suggest that you allow a licensure to include these bodywork techniques and put it under the healing arts or holistic practices. You want these people you want a business license for this. Expecting anything less isn't practical, reasonable, or fair. And
The problem that we have with that is that we're requiring anybody that does rubbing of the body, touching of the body, to be CAMTC certified. That's a requirement in order to do that here. So we would have to create either an exemption for Reiki folks that says that you don't have to be if you're a certified Reiki. And what that does is that opens up the door. That opens up the door for one of these other illegitimate businesses to say, I'm a Reiki practitioner, and now come get your free Reiki massage.
I'd be happy to keep looking at this, because the state of Florida did have to look at this and did come to some regulation and things like that, and I'll share some history on that, because
And some cities in California have done it too.
I'm willing to discuss it. I'm just hoping that there again, that you trust the process and that we can move forward with getting something enacted and address some of these measures as we move forward. Because I don't have a simple answer. And there again, I have to look at the overall big picture as opposed to a small aspect of it. And I know that may not be a good answer for everybody, especially if you're doing it for compensation. My gut tells me that you should go forward with getting a business license within the city that, says I'm a Reiki practitioner. Right, exactly. And if that is the case,
It's massage.
no. I said you're saying you're touching.
Uh-huh.
If you go and you do some of these other things that bring you into the category of massage, now we're starting to split hairs.
It's the non-incidental touching with the hands. That's the
Non-incidental.
line in here.
Right.
That's what Reiki is non-incidental. It's touching that you need to do.
I understand, but it's not,
You're not doing it with intent.
It's not
to
massage.
it is not
or-
massage. It is not massage.
But
And we're not going to come after you. If you're doing sexual acts and we hear about it on the neighbor massage, we're coming after you. Otherwise, we're not coming after
It
you.
says don't touch the anus.
I'm not worried about it.
So it's like, okay, but you told me that I had to guess either an exemption or CAMT.
No, you were trying to paint me into a corner relative to whether you're a massage or not.
I got your email.
And I said the best way is to check with CAMTC and see if they are required, if Reiki falls under them.
They can include Reiki in the certification. If you're getting massage therapy, that can be one of your classes.
I understand,
But
but
if
you're
you're
solely
just
doing Reiki.
doing,
I'm
Reiki,
not going to mess with you.
In most cases and other ordinances, there's an easy way to delineate that, if your clothes are on or off. If you're not touching bare skin, then that's not in the ballpark. If you have your clothes on and you're touching through clothes, then that's not even in the
That's what I
ballpark.
told them last time. I said, their clothes
Is
are
that,
clothes.
do you disagree with me?
I'm not, all I'm trying to say is that Reiki seems like a very specialized practice that has nothing to do with actual massage therapy like the ordinance is trying to cover. And if you, and there again, you're going to get into splitting hairs, because if you touch my face, it's not clothed. And so I think that if you're solely a Reiki practitioner that's into spiritual healing, it doesn't fall under the same kind of category as massage work. Now, if there again, if you're going beyond the scope of what you're designed to do, and we get a complaint about it, then certainly you could find yourself in a position to where you are going to be regulated. So I'm open to suggestions and I'm open to ideas to make sure this is comprehensive, but at the same time, we have some immediate needs that we need to address. And I think that
a lady in the striped shirt, can we get a copy of that on the recording?
timing of open practice.
Depends if it comes out or not.
Massage practice timing hours, I think,
I'm sorry?
the timing, the office.
Hours?
I called to Tuscadero, they were so happy they closed their 2 massage
Yeah.
parlors down, and then I drove to Food for Less, and there it was, another one was open. But I do have posted hours versus, other precautionary hours. We have our own version of a Hippocratic Oath.
Yeah.
We work late, we work in a tourist environment,
Yeah.
and so they're very likely will be open beyond 9 or 10. What is the disposition in this code, and how flexible are you on the hours? I do work downtown,
Yeah.
so if I'm having people come in and out, I don't want them thinking they're junks.
Yeah.
If they
Well, and that's what we run up against. We found that through our research that a lot of the illegitimate massage, they offer 24 hours. You can go into 3 o'clock in the morning and obtain those types of services. And so for us, there again, I think that what I would ask from the business community is you balance the needs and the safety of the community with business practices. Even though I appreciate the Hippocratic Oath, I think that if you're offering 2 a.m. massages, that opens the door for another problem. So I would ask for cooperation with the business community to address that.
I agree with that, and I have a question to ask, and maybe these professionals in the room could talk about what hours would be acceptable for legitimate massage, and then in your ordinance, put massage therapy, which would be discriminatory. However, in this particular case, if you have the professionals' input and say, what time can we open, what time should we close?
It's in there.
Okay, I understand that, but have you asked these people what's legit, what they do? They might give a massage at 10 o'clock at night. So,
And I'll go back and we do regulate other business hours.
I certainly would. I don't object to the hours in this thing. Okay, and hours is a good way to regulate your problem.
Sure. Go ahead.
Well, in mixed zone areas, such as my area, it's a mixed zone for commercial and housing, and then people who have housing zone massage. Could it be by appointment? Is that enough a language for you if we, posted open Monday through Friday in these hours, and then by appointment or exception? Because it's not. I'm not advertising it, but honestly, if I'm off and I go to a hotel at 10 at night, it's because somebody hurt their back. A bike rider came through here and I've been called by the chamber to go help them. I mean, that does happen a lot, and I know you're not targeting me, but I want to feel safe under this code too.
I understand your concern. I'm not, like I said, I think that the difficulty that we have with this subject is trying to balance, what we're trying to occur.
Regular business hours? Or
Regular
posted
business, we can't, because someone's regular business hours could be 11 p.m. to 6 a.m. And I understand where you're coming from. I think that I would leave that to your best judgment. I can't go in and change the rules. Certainly, like I said, we are not the massage police. We're not going to have, if there's a business downtown that is offering late night massage and in violation of the code, we're going to be addressing that. We need that tool. However, if you have a customer that you're going to offer some sort of service to, I have to leave that to your best judgment to do. I can't sit here and say that the code is going to authorize that. I mean, there again, it's the spirit of the law versus the letter of the law. We have to have this code. We have to have those provisions to be able to regulate some of these illegal activities. And we know from experience that there's a place right downtown that one of our local homeowners sees these guys lined up all hours of the night, coming and going, coming in with, and I don't need to go into that.
Oh, you already know where they are, though.
Why are they still open?
Yeah.
No, it's a great
Because you
question.
got a call from the lawyers who's put a stop to it, which is why they need to change things.
I'll address that directly. The difficulty with we call these vice crimes, right? So when you have a vice investigation, and this is what our experience has taught us. So we send an undercover investigator into a massage therapy place. Automatically, when a new customer walks into these girls, they look at it and they go, okay, is this guy a cop or is he somebody that is looking for extra services? And like I said, I've had people come and sit in my office and talk to me about the process, what happens, and they were very candid with me. Some of these people that have indulged in that and no longer do it, and they talk to me. The prostitutes wait for the male to initiate contact. So while you're massaging them, the guy might reach up and grab the girl's butt. That tells the massage therapist, quote unquote, this guy is ready for extra services and now we can begin negotiating. A police officer is not able to walk in and do that. We just can't. I don't think my wife would like it if I did that. I don't think that the courts would feel comfortable with us doing that when we went there. So they're becoming more sophisticated. A lot of it is through reference work. So we would need, like the guy I told you about brought the business card to me that his buddy referenced him to this other girl that's doing these services. And so it's a very difficult, time-intensive thing. So what we decided to do is we started to we made ourselves very visible and very present to these organizations or to these groups. We went in to visit them to introduce themselves. Hi, I'm Lieutenant Lewis. I understand that you might be having some business practices that are going on. Would you like to talk to me about your advertisement on redbook.com or backpage.com? The first time we did that to one of these places, we had 4 massage therapists run out the back doors. They ran. We walk in and we see these girls running down in their little smocks. The business is completely empty. There's nobody inside the business.
Well,
And so the point being is, hey, they know they're on alert, that we're on to them. We went back with ICE because we know that there's a sex slave trade. Some of these people are victims of human trafficking. Okay, so we came back with ICE, and that was in the paper. There was a big picture of it. And we said, okay, let's go in, because here's our concern again, going back to these out-of-town business owners circulating these girls through. The bigger picture is, while we're boiling this down to, a prostitute performing a single act on a male, the bigger implication to all this is organized crime. When you open a business in our city that's not owned by a local practitioner, now we're talking about organized crime. These girls are circulating through 5 or 6, 7, 8, 10 different businesses throughout the state, and they may be there of their own accord because it's good money. They may be being forced to do that, but they're circulating through, and so now we have an organized, we don't just have a single prostitute doing a single act, we have an organized effort to make money, and it poses serious problems, way beyond the one single act for our community. Once that gets established, there are several other vice-type organizations that will start cropping up. So for us in this community, you know, one of the things that I'm most proud of about working here and living here is that you folks are willing to work with us to help stamp out that problem. And you know, the roots have been set to some degree, but I'm confident that we can unroot it and make it very difficult while treating you fairly and appropriately. I don't want, the day that that ordinance goes into effect, I don't foresee the police department treating you any differently than the day before. Because you guys are great business owners. You treat your clients right. Your places are clean. You're not providing illicit massage. And it's going to be a blip on the radar. This kind of effort that we're doing here, we're going to look back and we're going to say, hopefully we built a good, strong connection with our police department. I know many of you by name and by face now. And that these efforts are going, you know, if you have, I want you to feel comfortable calling me up and saying, hey, Ty, I understand that, you know, I really don't want you to use my name, but I want you to know about something that I heard that's going on. Can you look into it? And have that kind of relationship. Or the same with you. I feel comfortable with one of you saying, hey, you know so-and-so, can you tell me a little bit about this person? And we have that kind of comfortable relationship to where you trust us and we trust you moving forward. I can promise you, the police department doesn't have the time or the resources to micromanage your businesses. We don't. What we do have the time and the resources for, invariably, is to go after these ones that we know dead to rights, and everybody as we sit in this room can probably think of one or two of those establishments that's in business doing this, and we want to address that, and we need your help, and I'm asking you for your support when it goes back. I'm willing to make changes that are willing to, you know, improve your, you know, your concerns about the ordinance, and I'm willing to do that. I'm just looking for your support as business owners to say, hey, you know, we recognize there's a problem. We recognize that we're not the issue. The police department has recognized that, but we also have somebody that's sullying our name, and that we're willing to do something about it in a partnership with you. That's all we're asking. And I'm willing to do whatever it takes, within reason, to be able to address these kind of concerns in the ordinance, whether it's locked doors, name tags, those kind of things. I mean, I think that you can take any ordinance and start overanalyzing it and trying to include more and expand a 15-page ordinance into 20 that's going to have various exclusions and inclusions, or you can reduce it to the point where it's vague, and then we don't have the specificity that we need to be able to. So we're really trying to strike a balance. That's what this is all about. And I do appreciate what you guys being here.
I think you've uncovered some important stuff. CAMTC, as long as you're reasonable about when you have to have it. I think one of your most effective tools immediately is hours of operation, and I think these people can let you know what's sufficient, like say 8 till midnight or something of that nature, allows them to get a whole lot of massages in and probably physically tired of it. So, legitimate massages. And I think those two tools, and if the business license is only going to be $80 as opposed to $50, fine. We got rid of that. You know, that just saved every massage therapist in town $320.
Yeah.
And I think that's important because this is a destination location. These people come here to drink wine and go to day spas.
Yes.
And get a massage. It's huge. When my family comes here, they want me to line them up with a massage.
Yep.
And so I think you've gone a long way. By the way, you've done an excellent job this morning. It's not an easy subject. You've got guys like me in the audience who read the thing by accident, looking for something else in the agenda, and just said, this is not right. And of course, you have these people who are interested enough to be here today, you know. So I think you should take some names and numbers and have them help you.
I got them. Oh, I got them.
Good, because I think you've gone a long ways towards straightening out the problem. Now, you have one I wish there was a councilman still here, but they're gone. Systematically, or at least legally, don't you have to redraft this ordinance and bring it back in a net form and then have a second reading to that?
Yeah.
Okay, good. That's what I thought.
Yeah, we absolutely do. And I'm hoping November 6th, that's what we have.
You know, not to take away from this 25-page document, I didn't have any idea it was that long when I started printing it. My printer was smoking by the time I got done.
You didn't get you an iPad.
And I know I don't go there. I'm a dinosaur, and I'm quite proud of that. But this is the way ordinance should be done, not the way they were done. That's not critical. It's critical of the city council. I'm sorry. It's just.
Remember, we did this once before, Cody.
I know that. I know that.
Okay.
But I think you've got some excellent tools that have come out of this meeting today, and I think hours of operation all puts an immediate bind in their operation. And I don't care what the hours are, whatever these people think is legitimate. But I would guess somewhere between 8 and midnight, or
I can tell you, we get the complaints that we've gotten various times.
All times of the day.
All times of the day or night. Sex happens. It doesn't matter when there's a chance it's going to happen.
But it does eliminate 8 hours worth.
Sure. And it's in the ordinance. Now we're just, like you said, now it's becoming down to a fine tuning of what's acceptable. We went with the most common practices. We went with CAMTC recommendation that says this is best business practices are this, and that's where we came up with those time frames.
Okay.
Yeah, it wasn't just something I said. Ty Lewis thinks this is great.
Well,
no, we tried to go with best business practices industry-wide.
Where is that? I'm sorry, what is it under? Because I've just been scouring over it.
Hours of operation in there again, I should.
Okay, that's it.
I didn't see it.
I didn't see it.
Okay, maybe they removed it. And maybe it's already been removed.
It didn't see it in the current one.
We used to have it.
I honestly thought other people's.
I'll look at it. It might not even be in there anymore.
Okay, fine. No, we didn't bring it up. It's not an issue. Sorry, Kevin, I don't think it's the issue.
Okay.
A number of points. First of all, I still don't understand how this really rather lengthy document helps you that much. I am so delighted to support you guys and to want to clean this up. I'm appalled that we're being lumped with massage parlors. That just, I'm aghast.
Goes against your grain.
Okay, but there are numerous things in there that would penalize a number of us from practicing the way we practice. And I think if you must have the ordinance, it really should be gone through a lot more deeply. There are things like the alcohol, wine, and alcohol. We have a spa. People are often served a glass of champagne before they have their spa services. We have many different practitioners in there. They all tend to lock their doors. They all have locks there in Serenity. Let's see, that was and I know, I think probably a number of the other shops do have the alcohol too. I mix and blend different oils and things together. I have numerous containers. They're clean, but they're not labeled, but they are. I know exactly what's in them and where they all came from.
The alcohol isn't an issue as much as you might think. There are, if you're serving somebody alcohol inside of the massage room, there's a problem. If you have an alcohol license to vend and serve alcohol on the premises like any spas do, that's okay. That ordinance does not prohibit that. What it prohibits is being under the influence as a massage practitioner or therapist. If you are under the influence in rendering massage, you can't do that. If you're serving it, as much as it might help you get through the day, sometimes you can't do it. You can't allow the person to consume while they're in the massage therapy room. So if they're in there getting a massage, which would probably be difficult and impractical anyways, if you think about it, you can't do that. So the massage, the ordinance is not designed to, we understand that there are day spas, but drug use and alcohol in the massage room is not going to be in that area, is not okay.
So if the client has been sipping on their champagne, they come walking into my massage room and they set their champagne, and obviously they're not sipping it while they're getting their massage, but you would rather not see the glass in there with the champagne.
I would rather the massage therapist say, look, our company policy is that we can't allow alcohol in the massage room, and it's also prohibited by our local ordinance here in the city. Is it all right if I set this outside for you, and then once we're done, you'll be able to have it back? I mean, that to me would be the best practice to do that.
But it does say under the influence in item B. So, and I exist next to a couple tasting rooms, and so, I think that does need to be tightened, because it's not I can't qualify when somebody's under the influence, and they have tasted, and it is a downtown environment. It is not enforceable by me, and it's not prudent to be inebriated, but it's not inadvisable for them to have a glass of wine and then come in, and I collaborate with them.
Let me paint the picture for you differently. So we're not there again. The object is not to go and try and determine, have you had anything to drink? Here's a PAS, preliminary alcohol screening device, and have you blown into it. However, should we arrive to a business and we walk in the door and there is a guy that's drunk that has come into your establishment, that is looking for a massage and possibly more, and the masseuse is drunk or under the influence of some sort of drug, now we have an additional tool, because and there again, we're not going to arrest you for that violation. That's not the idea of the ordinance. What we will do is we'll write a report and we can revoke your business license. That is where the strength of the ordinance comes in. It's not that now we have this new tool to start taking people to jail, because if we come across an act of prostitution, we can do that. But now what we have that we never would have had is the mechanism to shut your business down. When we had the place that we talked about with the condoms that were inside the drain and had all these issues going on, it was extraordinarily difficult with the city attorneys to shut that business down, because you commit a crime of active prostitution, one has nothing to do with the business. There was nothing in the code or in the book that says, now I've arrested you for prostitution, but guess what? I can come back to work tomorrow. There's nothing that says we have the ability to shut that business down. So now these tools give us not only the expanded opportunity of the sex trade, but we also now have the expanded ability of, okay, we know, you and I both know that there's things going on in your business. And guess what? You're under the influence, he's under the influence. While we didn't catch you in the act, we've been receiving numerous documented complaints on your business. Here's our file. You're under the influence, he's under the influence. We're going to move to revoke your business license based upon the repeated history that we've had with you. And now we have the mechanism to do it. And conversely, you feel that we have unfairly targeted you because you have massage oils that are mixed, right? And I say, guess what? I'm shutting you down for those massage oils. They're just not properly labeled, and I'm really concerned about what that is. And now you have a mechanism to say, no, I want a hearing over this. And I want to sit down, I want a formal hearing about why you're going to revoke my business license. And you can sit down before the city manager's appointee, which won't be the police department, and you'll be able to say, look, here's the reason I do this. And they'll look at you and they'll say, okay, either one, A, yes, you're in violation, you're going to have to pay a fine for what you did, or B, no, you know what, we've looked at your file, we've looked at your history, and you have numerous complaints, numerous violations. Sorry, you're no longer going to be able to do business in the city of Paso Robles based upon that. So it gives redress on both sides. It gives a mechanism for those people that feel that what they've done is not a violation, but it also gives us the ability to shut those folks down. Does that make sense?
Getting there.
Okay.
Ty,
That's progress for me. Thank you.
It's all about compromise, and so what I'm hearing from you is that you need us to relax and that there's plenty of safety and mechanisms for us to go back, and that was very helpful and should be emphasized
Okay.
in your public statements, that
Thank
there
you.
is a two-way piece. If a place is a public nuisance, and if they're cited or it's revoked, I'm not seeing a time frame for which relicensing or retooling or reapplication can be processed. And I've seen in other cities that there is significant dating on that. Do you have that plan to eliminate the possibility or extend the possibility of them licensing?
Rehabilitating themselves?
No, reapplying for the license tomorrow. You know, under a different name or whatever.
Oh, no, I believe there is a section under there that says that if you have, I'm pretty sure that there is one that says that, you know, once it's revoked, that you have so many days to appeal, there's a process and those kind of things, but that you can't, once it's revoked, it's revoked. You can reapply. I thought it did.
But that's what I'm saying.
Revocation hearing, the city manager or his or her designated representative may find the facts do or do not support revocation of a business license and may order that a business license be revoked, blah, blah, blah. Decision within 15 days of the conclusion of the hearing unless parties agree otherwise. The city manager shall notify the licensee in writing of the decision. And then it goes on to say, any person aggrieved by the city manager's decision may appeal the decision to the city council by submitting a written request in the city clerk within 10 days of receiving written notice of the city manager's decision. The appeal shall be heard by the city council within 30 days from the date of receipt of the request of the city clerk. The decision of the city council shall be final.
Reapplication was the question.
Reapplication is that in order to get a license, you have to apply. And there's criteria in there which we can refuse to issue a license. And so that goes back to what their violation was. So if they just had a violation, they come back and they reapply. Those portions of the code that say if you've done X, Y, and Z, if you've had your license revoked, because what's going to happen on the flip side of that, if we get to the point where we actually revoke somebody's license, there's also a part in there that says that we're going to contact the CAMTC and we're going to work with them to get their license suspended or put on hold or whatever. Once that happens and once they're not going to qualify to have a license here in the city. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that's.
Okay.
Yeah, it says it on page 4, between 3 and 4.
I'm sorry, I know they sort of cover over, but in order to apply, you have to meet certain criteria. You have to be CAMTC certified. You have to be in good standing with them. If you're not in good standing with them, you can't work here.
And I will say that their law enforcement arm is pretty open and valid, and however, it's not up to date. And, you know, they don't keep accurate postings of people who are certified. So hopefully the back channel is better than the 4 channel that's available to the public. I do have a question, and there was a concern with one of our members who's not here today about the actual application being overreaching and not even question its legality, about asking about detentions without. Have you looked back at that? And can you? Okay.
Yeah, the application.
And all of that.
No. The application is simply this. If you are CAMTC certified, and you have to read those little boxes above where it is. If you're CAMTC certified, I think it's like questions 1 through 9 is all you have to answer. And they have nothing to do with financials. They have nothing to do with criminal history, because all that's been done at the state level. The whole, that thick application portion of it is for someone that isn't CAMTC
And
certified.
that is the question.
Sure.
And I'm done. I don't care. But if you've ever been detained for a protest at Diablo Canyon, now I know you're not after her, that's not the case, but that application process, I believe, should be more consistent with the application process that ATC requires of us, and I think it does. You know, it's convicted of a crime or having to be registered. Can you look at that language?
The word, just because it has that information, does not make it an automatic disqualifier, so don't confuse that. If you have...
I don't know that you can ask it, that's the question.
We can't ask it. We have the city attorneys review it. You can ask it. You can refuse to answer it. You may not get a license. But the reason we ask that, and here's the philosophy, we ask a lot of pretty probing questions in there. And the reason we do that is it goes back to You know, a legitimate business owner that is not CAMTC certified, I, Ty Lewis, I don't have any certifications, but I want to open up a business in Paso Robles and employ you ladies to do my work. And in this case, maybe it's not you ladies, maybe it's these ladies that offer different services. And now if I go and I can ask the guy or the girl that's opening this, because we have had a lot of female business owners that are in this practice that open these businesses, who are you? Have you been convicted of? And it's a lot of the stuff that you're going to apply for with the CAMTC, you know, and you're going to reveal to them. We don't need to know it. They're just going to say yes or no. But we're going through the same vetting process, and maybe a little bit more with those kind of people to make sure that you're not into organized crime, that you're not a registered sex offender, that you don't have a long and extensive drug history, on and on and on and on, to make sure. The other portion of it is the financials. A lot of the businesses in town are what you are charged for a business license, if you're not CAMTC certified, is based upon your income. That's what your business license is, your rate is. So if you sell product and you do those kind of things, then you're charged a different rate. Non-CAMTC certified business owners.
I have a question.
Yes?
Non-CAMTC, of course, you're saying that you need that by next July, which I don't think is long.
I don't know why.
You said that next July would be the cutoff for CAMTC certification on business license application. Existing, yes. So then if someone isn't CAMTC certified by next July, that would mean they'd have to fill out this extensive background check and all that.
Then they won't be able to do massage. They can own a business and employ people, but they can't do massage.
And that's what this ordinance is going to say, is you have to be CAMTC certified. Then I would make one suggestion is that you consider extending it from July of next year. Because some of these people may have to go to the school, or they may have to undertake some circumstances. 6 months isn't enough time. But the question I have, and what I don't want to see the city exposed to liability, we've had plenty of that lately, and that is everybody that's going to apply for any kind of a business license have to fill out that form?
No, this form is specific to massage.
Okay, well, you're on a little shaky ground there on discrimination.
But not for CAMTC stuff massage.
No. CAMTC handles all that. That's fine.
Yep.
But if somebody still wants to have a business license,
Yep.
it's specific to massage.
We do similar process, and this is where there might have been some consternation or concern of when I brought this up before, because I'm not trying to lump you as CAMTC certified massage therapists in with any other profession, other than to say that we do require extensive background checks for certain types of businesses. Namely, if you're in gambling establishments, we have one in town, we need to make sure, because why? Gambling is a vice, right? Prostitution is a vice. We look into those vice-related businesses very carefully. So yes, while it doesn't go for an attorney, and why? Because an attorney has a different vetting process. They have to go apply to the bar, they have state bar investigators, an accountant or a architect, have a lot of different mechanisms in place to ensure that that person is who they say they are and that they're licensed to practice in the state of California. We're not there yet with this industry. We're not. And so we are trying to not impact those people that are CAMTC certified. They've done their background. What we're trying to prevent is those people that are trying to open an illegal practice that are tied to organized crime, that have extensive drug histories, sex-related crime convictions, and those kind of things, and prevent them from opening up a business here in town.
Do you allow adult-only operations in the city?
Adult-only operations?
Other than, okay, well, I mean,
Sure, good question.
I'm sorry, what type of ordinances and changes in the coding and zoning and things like that might be available to the community? We're trying to extract the relationship of massage therapy as a practice from prostitution. And, some cities, when I first came to the Tuscadero, it's under adult licensure. I mean, that's where you go. It's under adult services or something crazy like that.
You'll notice.
You know my question.
You notice we don't have any adult shops really per se in town. I think we have some places that are on the fringe that are selling lingerie and some other items, but I'll say the word Diamond Adult World. We don't have a Diamond Adult World in our city.
And legally not the ordinance and zoning and.
The
codes.
zoning is what prohibits those
You
types
do
of
have
things.
that.
Yes.
And you're not planning on changing it?
Not right now.
Because I mean, in Morro Bay,
Yeah.
you can go from massage parlor, it's under massage parlor,
Right.
you know, the viewing rooms and things like that. So you're not looking at doing that?
Not right now. There's nothing. I got too many other issues. This is number one. I'm not looking at anything like that
This is number one issue in this,
for me.
okay.
Washing machine.
Me. Not number one issue, but this is me. I've been working on this thing for 4 years. I was looking at my first initial emails going back on this 4 years ago.
Well,
And it's now finally to a point where we're able to have these conversations. And that's how much research and how much time I've put into this. And I say me, I mean, there's, you guys have never met her. Irene Zerko is the attorney that's been working with me on this for 4 years.